It was 2:17 a.m. when Daniel realized something terrifying. The room was silent. His phone screen glowed in the darkness, lighting half of his face. 23 unread emails, 5 missed calls, deadlines screaming for attention. But that wasn't what scared him. What scared him was the voice inside his head whispering, "You can't keep doing this." From the outside, Daniel looked successful. Good job, decent salary, respectable life. But inside his mind, a war had been raging for years. Daniel wasn't always like this. A few years earlier he was the guy everyone admired. Hardworking, reliable, the person who always said yes when someone needed help. At work he stayed late. With friends he listened to every problem. With family he carried every expectation. Everyone depended on him. Everyone respected him. At least, that's what he believed. But something strange started happening over time. The more he tried to please everyone, the more exhausted he became. The more responsibilities he accepted, the more invisible he felt. And one day he noticed something painful. People didn't respect him because he was strong. They depended on him because he never said no. Pause for a second. Think about this honestly. How many people around you look strong, but inside they are completely drained? One Monday morning everything changed. Daniel walked into the office like any other day. Coffee in one hand, laptop bag over his shoulder. But the atmosphere felt different. People were whispering. His boss called him into the conference room. Inside, 3 executives sat around the table. Their faces were serious. His boss sighed and said the words that shattered something inside him. "Daniel, we appreciate everything you've done, but we're moving in a different direction." Just like that, years of loyalty disappeared in a single sentence. The strange thing was, Daniel didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't even defend himself. He simply nodded, packed his things, and walked out of the building where he had spent the last 6 years of his life. As the elevator doors closed, he looked at his reflection in the metal surface and asked himself a brutal question. How did I end up here? Let me ask you something. What hurts more, failure, or realizing you gave everything to people who never valued it? That night Daniel sat alone in his apartment. No office noise, no responsibilities, just silence. At first the silence felt uncomfortable. His mind started replaying every moment of the past few years. Every time he stayed late, every weekend he sacrificed, every favor he did for people who never returned it. Slowly a painful truth started forming in his mind. Daniel hadn't been living his life. He had been performing for everyone else. The war inside his mind grew louder. One voice told him he had failed, that he should feel ashamed, that he had wasted years of his life. But another voice, a quieter voice, said something different. It said, maybe this is the first honest moment you've had in years. Most people think the biggest battles in life happen outside, in jobs, in competition, in the world. But the real war, the one that decides everything, happens inside your head. Daniel couldn't sleep that night. At 3 a.m. he got up, walked to the kitchen, and poured himself a glass of water. As he stood there staring at the city lights through his window, a strange calm came over him. For the first time in years, there was nothing he needed to prove to anyone. Think about this for a moment. What would happen if tomorrow you stopped trying to impress people who never cared? The next morning Daniel did something unusual. Instead of rushing into panic mode like most people would after losing their job, he took a walk. No phone, no music, just his thoughts. And during that walk he realized something that changed everything. The stress he had felt for years wasn't coming from work. It was coming from the fear of disappointing people. That realization hit him harder than the job loss itself. For years he had built his life around approval. Approval from his boss, approval from coworkers, approval from family, approval from society. And when your entire identity depends on approval, you become fragile. Because the moment that approval disappears, so does your sense of worth. Let me ask you a dangerous question. If everyone around you suddenly stopped approving of your life, would you still live it the same way? Daniel returned to his apartment and opened his laptop. But instead of searching for another job immediately, he started writing something. A list. On one side he wrote everything he had been doing for other people. On the other side he wrote something he had never asked himself before. What do I actually want? The answer surprised him. He wanted freedom. He wanted peace of mind. He wanted to stop living like a machine designed to meet expectations. And that's when Daniel realized something powerful. Losing his job wasn't the worst thing that could happen to him. Living the same empty routine for the next 20 years would have been far worse. Here's the truth most people avoid. Sometimes life destroys the path you're on, because it knows you're too afraid to leave it yourself. Over the next few weeks, Daniel changed small things first. He stopped answering messages immediately. He stopped apologizing for things that weren't his fault. He stopped explaining every decision to everyone. And something strange started happening. People began treating him differently. Not because he became aggressive, not because he became arrogant, but because for the first time, he had boundaries. Most people never understand this psychological truth. The moment you stop chasing approval, people start respecting you more. Months passed. Daniel eventually found a new opportunity, but this time he approached life differently. Work was no longer his identity. Other people's expectations were no longer his compass. The war inside his mind had changed. The voice of fear still existed. It always does. But now there was another voice that had grown stronger. The voice that reminded him he didn't exist just to meet expectations. And that's the real message behind every inner war story. Every person you meet is fighting something invisible. Doubt, fear, pressure, expectations. But the people who transform their lives are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who finally choose which voice inside their head they will listen to. Because the greatest victory in life is not defeating the world. It's defeating the version of yourself that believes you're not allowed to live the life you truly want. And the moment you win that battle inside your mind, the outside world begins to change in ways you never expected.